फीचर्स है। सो सबसे फर्स्ट चीज जो हम यूआई डिजाइनिंग में करते हैं, व्हाट इज दैट? रेफरेंसेस। अब रेफरेंसेस ऐसा नहीं होगा कि आपको एज इट इज सब कुछ सेम टू सेम मिल जाएगा, ठीक है? रेफरेंस होगा वो, कॉपी नहीं होगी आपके लिए, दिस अ रेफरेंस। सो उसका फायदा क्या होता है रेफरेंसेस का? अगेन सेम कॉन्सेप्ट है, जितना इनपुट जाएगा उतना आउटपुट दिखेगा, करेक्ट? सो रेफरेंसेस में नॉट नेसेसरी कि आप पूरे पूरे स्क्रीन के रखने से, अगर अभी जैसे हमारा बजट और फाइनेंस ऐप का वायरफ्रेम है, नॉट नेसेसरी आप उसी के देखो, सिर्फ उसी के देखो, ऑफ कोर्स उसके देखो, लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम ऑल्सो सी कि बाकी कोई ऐप में अगर कोई पर्टिकुलर यूआई एलिमेंट अच्छा है, कोई कंपोनेंट अच्छा है, कोई फीचर अच्छा है, तो हाउ कैन आई इंप्लीमेंट दैट? समझ में आ रहा है? सो फर्स्ट इज रेफरेंसेस। अब रेफरेंसेस कहाँ कहाँ से ले सकते हैं? एक तो लाइव एप्स, लाइव वेबसाइट्स, करेक्ट? अब लाइव वेबसाइट आपको मिलेगी कहाँ से अच्छी वाली? सो AWWW अवार्ड्स की वेबसाइट है, ठीक है? फिर लाइव एप्स आपको ऐप स्टोर से मिलेंगे, उसका ऑप्शन नहीं है, बट देयर इज अ वेबसाइट कॉल्ड एज मोबिन। वो क्या करता है कि बहुत सारे एप्स का वो खुद लॉगिन वगैरह करके उसके स्क्रीन्स डाल देते हैं मोबिन पर। इट्स अ पेड वन, बट फ्री में भी बहुत कुछ है उसमें, ठीक है? सो मोबिन हो गया, अवार्ड्स हो गया। फिर उसके बाद ड्रिबल, तो ये ड्रिबल शॉट्स, ठीक है? यहाँ पर बहुत सारे अच्छे अच्छे लोगों ने जो काम किए होंगे वो दिखेगा। बहुत सारे ऐसे होंगे कि जो लाइव नहीं होंगे, लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम वो उन्होंने बस शोकेस के लिए बनाया होगा, जो प्रैक्टिकल इसमें काम नहीं आएगा, बट एटलीस्ट आपको एक आइडिया आएगा, हाँ ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है, ठीक है? ड्रिबल। देन अनदर वन इज बिहेंस। क्या है? बिहेंस, जहाँ पर भी आपको बहुत सारे चीजें मिलेगी। एक और है मूजली इंस्पिरेशन। क्या? मूजली इंस्पिरेशन, वहां भी आपको बहुत कुछ मिलेगा देखने के लिए। सो इतना भी अगर देखोगे, you'll get so many references, correct? So spend maximum of your time in searching for references, क्योंकि जिस टाइम पर आपको रेफरेंस क्लिक हो जाएगा, डिजाइनिंग बहुत सिंपल हो जाएगी। सो आई एम नॉट सेइंग कॉपी, आई एम नॉट सेइंग कॉपी, बट जस्ट आई एम नॉट सेइंग कॉपी, बट जस्ट टेक एज अ रेफरेंस, ठीक है? टेक एज अ रेफरेंस। अब सेकेंड चीज आती है, यूआई में बहुत सारी चीजें होती है, जैसे वायरफ्रेम में होती है, वैसे यूआई में बहुत सारी चीजें होती है। एक होता है डिजाइन सिस्टम। अब डिजाइन सिस्टम विल वेरी। वो कैसे? सो अगर मैं वेबसाइट बना रहा हूँ, ठीक है, तो उसका डिजाइन सिस्टम हो सकता है बाद में बनेगा, डिजाइन कंप्लीट होने के बाद। वेब ऐप बना रहा हूँ, उसका डिजाइन सिस्टम पहले बन जाएगा। अगर मैं मोबाइल ऐप बना रहा हूँ, अगेन उसका दोनों साथ में हो सकता है, डिजाइन सिस्टम भी बन सकता है, एट द सेम टाइम डिजाइन भी बन सकती है, वाइस। अब डिजाइन सिस्टम में क्या आता है? हमने जो यूआई एलिमेंट्स देखे थे ना, फॉर्म के सारे एलिमेंट्स, कार्ड्स, कराउजल, फॉन्ट्स, आइकन्स, ऑल दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ डिजाइन सिस्टम। सो क्या क्या है? फॉर्म एलिमेंट्स, फॉर्म एलिमेंट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ डिजाइन सिस्टम। फॉन्ट्स, टाइपोग्राफी, अब इसमें फॉन्ट साइज भी आ जाएगा, फॉन्ट वेट भी आ जाएगा, एट द सेम टाइम कौन से फॉन्ट्स यूज कर रहे हैं, कौन सी चीज के लिए, वो भी आ जाएगा। सो मान लो कि हेडिंग है हमारा इसमें, सो हेडिंग का फॉन्ट मैंने पॉपिंस यूज किया, ठीक है एग्जाम्पल, उसका फॉन्ट साइज क्या है, उसका फॉन्ट साइज क्या है, उसकी फॉन्ट फैमिली क्या है, उसका फॉन्ट वेट क्या है, वो सब डिफाइन होगा। फिर थ्रू आउट ऐप, वेबसाइट या वेब ऐप वो ही चीज यूज होगी, ठीक है। सेम फॉर आइकन्स, लाइन आइकन है तो सब जगह फिर लाइन आइकन नहीं होगा, फिर आइकन ऐसा रह के नहीं आ जाएगा अपने आप, ठीक है। सो दिस इज नथिंग बट योर डिजाइन का ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस। जैसे एक लोगो होता है, एक एक कंपनी होती है, उसका लोगो होता है, तो उसके एक ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस होती है जहाँ पर डिफाइन होता है कि हमारे ब्रांड में यही कलर्स यूज होंगे, हमारे ब्रांड में यही फॉन्ट्स यूज होंगे, ठीक है। अब वेब में कैसे यूज होंगे वो हम बनाएंगे, फॉन्ट उन्होंने बता दिया कि कौन सा फॉन्ट यूज करना है, पर कैसे यूज करना है वो हम बताएंगे इन द डिजाइन सिस्टम, ठीक है। बहुत सारे लोग ब्रांड गाइडलाइंस में ये तक देते हैं कि बोल्ड यूज करो, मीडियम यूज करो, सेमी बोल्ड करो, रेगुलर करो, लाइट यूज मत करना, ब्लैक यूज मत करना। सो दैट आल्सो वी हैव टू फॉलो इन आवर सिस्टम कि हम ब्लैक यूज नहीं कर सकते थे, हम लाइट यूज नहीं कर सकते, उसके अंदर ही वेरिएशन में हम क्या यूज कर सकते हैं वो कर, ठीक है। नहीं,
ये सपोज ब्रांड गाइडलाइन नहीं दी आपने
तो अपने हिसाब से बता। सो बहुत सारी चीज होगी, सब पे हम डीप डाइव करेंगे आगे लेक्चर्स में। तो डिजाइन सिस्टम में आता है फॉर्म एलिमेंट, फॉन्ट साइज, कार्ड्स के कार्ड का कैसा स्ट्रक्चर होगा, कि अगर वो शैडो बेस्ड होगा या फिर बॉर्डर बेस्ड होगा, करेक्ट। कलर पैलेट मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर, कलर पैलेट, राइट। ये कौन से कलर्स वेबसाइट में होंगे, तो प्राइमरी कलर कौन सा है, सेकेंडरी कलर कौन सा है, वो सब डिफाइन होगा, वो सब डिफाइन होगा। तो वो सब डिफाइन होगा कि भाई कौन सा कलर पहले यहाँ पर कैसे यूज होगा, ठीक है। अब ये सारे बेसिक्स हो गए जो डिजाइन सिस्टम में आते हैं। अब व्हेन आई सेड कि वेबसाइट बन रही है, अब वेबसाइट जब बन रही है तो उसका हम फॉन्ट्स बता सकते हैं, हम कलर पहले बता सकते हैं, कार्ड्स डिफिकल्ट है बताना क्योंकि वो स्ट्रक्चर पे डिपेंड करेगा। फॉर्म एलिमेंट्स ठीक है एक बार बता सकते हैं, लेकिन व्हाट इज यूजुअली प्रीफर्ड इज कि जब वेबसाइट का हम बना रहे हैं ना तो पहले वेबसाइट की पूरी डिजाइन बना देंगे, ठीक है। क्योंकि उसमें ऐसा होगा कि बहुत सारे जो लेआउट्स है, बहुत सारे जो स्ट्रक्चर्स है वो यूनिक है, वो पूरे वेबसाइट में शायद सिर्फ फुटर पे कभी यूज किया है वही सारे रिपीटेटिव है, जो हेडर है, जो फॉन्ट्स है वो शायद रिपीटेटिव है, तो वो हमेशा लास्ट में बनती है वेबसाइट की डिजाइन सिस्टम, विच इज प्रेफर्ड। बना सकते हो आप पहले भी, लेकिन उसमें ना फिर आपकी एकदम टेम्पलेटाइज वेबसाइट बनेगी, क्रिएटिव नहीं बनेगी। तो आप ये सब पे जो वेबसाइट्स देखोगे अगर वो आपको बनानी है तो वो आप फिर डिजाइन सिस्टम के हिसाब से नहीं बना सकते, क्योंकि वो बहुत डायनामिक होती है, वो बहुत यूनिक होती है, उसका लेआउट स्ट्रक्चर बहुत अलग अलग होता है, समझ में आ रहा है। सो इसलिए वेबसाइट जब बनती है, कॉर्पोरेट वेबसाइट है ना स्टैंडर्ड, उसका बना बता दो, दैट्स फाइन, लेकिन डायनामिक वेबसाइट का आप नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है। दूसरा एप्स, एप्स का भी आप कुछ हद तक बना सकते हो क्योंकि आपको मालूम है ऐप में बटन होने ही वाले हैं, करेक्ट, कार्ड्स होने ही वाले हैं, पॉप ओवर होने ही वाले हैं, तो वो सब आप बना सकते हो। लेकिन उसके बाद जब इलस्ट्रेशन जो आएंगे, आइकन्स जो आएंगे, वो अगेन जब आप फाइनलाइज कर लोगे उसके बाद आप डिजाइन सिस्टम में आएगा, ठीक है। सो इसलिए कुछ चीजों में ये ऊपर नहीं जाता, देयर इज नो स्ट्रिक्ट रूल कि पहले डिजाइन सिस्टम बनाना ही है या बनेगा ही बनेगा, ऐसा नहीं है, ठीक है। इट इज डायनामिक with respect to the project, with respect to the project, okay। अभी सेकेंड ये हो गया, ये हमने कवर कर लिया। हाँ, अभी आते हैं हम ग्रिड्स पे, ग्रिड स्ट्रक्चर पे। अब एक होता है कॉलम ग्रिड, कॉलम ग्रिड क्या करता है, तो एक पेज है, मान लो ये ऐसा, ये हमारा फुल ग्रिड है, इट इज 144 मान लो, ठीक है 144। अब बहुत सारी हम वेबसाइट्स देखेंगे तो उसमें डेटा ना सिर्फ इसमें होता है, बीच में, है ना, पूरा एंड टू एंड नहीं होता है, बीच में होता है। तो ये जो है ना, इसको हम क्या बोलते हैं, कंटेनर। क्या बोलते हैं, कंटेनर। अब ये जो कंटेनर की विड्थ है ना, वो कुछ व्यू पोर्ट तक वो सेट होती है। जैसे अगर हमारा स्क्रीन साइज है 1920 का या 1660 का, ठीक है, तो हम इसमें जो ग्रिड यूज करते हैं दैट इज, अगर 1920 तो एट टाइम्स है, एट टाइम्स वी यूज 1600। कुछ है जो डिपेंडिंग ऑन डिजाइन, अगेन वी यूज 1400 कंटेनर का साइज। नाउ दिस डिपेंड्स, क्योंकि 1600 1660 में भी सेट होता है, लेकिन अगर मैं उसको सेट करूंगा तो फुल विड्थ जैसा ही दिखेगा, क्योंकि ये साइड 60 पिक्सल, ये साइड 30 पिक्सल, ये साइड 30 पिक्सल छूटेगा, करेक्ट। सो ये मान लो ये पूरा बोर्ड है, अगर ये 1660 का है तो यहाँ से सिर्फ इतना 30 पिक्सल छूटेगा और यहाँ से इतना 30 पिक्सल, तो वेबसाइट पे फुल विड्थ ही लगेगी, करेक्ट। वेयरएज अगर मैं 1400 यूज करता हूँ, सो वी हैव गुड अमाउंट ऑफ 130 पिक्सल हियर एंड 130 पिक्सल हियर, और फिर वो 1400 का हम बनाते हैं। सो इट लुक्स कि हाँ ग्रिड में है, तो जो भी हमारा डेटा है, इमेजेस है, वो ग्रिड के बाहर नहीं जाना चाहिए, यू हैव टू फॉलो द ग्रिड, ठीक है। लेकिन अब ये वाला जो है ना, इसमें हम कौन सा यूज करते हैं कंटेनर, 1200, या फिर देयर इज अ स्पेसिफिक नंबर 1190। अब ये 1190 कहां से आता है? सो एक फ्रेमवर्क है विच वी कॉल इट एज बूटस्ट्रैप, फ्रंट एंड डेवलपमेंट का एक फ्रेमवर्क है बूटस्ट्रैप, जो कोडिंग वाले यूज करते हैं, ठीक है। तो उसमें जो उन्होंने कंटेनर की साइज दी है दैट इज 1190, ठीक है, दैट इज 1190। तो ये जो 1190 है ना, बहुत ही स्टैंडर्ड टेम्पलेटाइज्ड वेबसाइट होती है, उसके लिए यूज की जाती है मोस्टली, 90% ऑफ द टाइम ये उसी के लिए यूज की जाती है। वरना इफ यू आर डूइंग कस्टम डिजाइन जहां पर आपको थोड़ी लिबर्टी है, इट इज ऑलवेज प्रेफर टू डू 1200 या 1400 डिजाइन, डिपेंडिंग ऑन डिजाइन, depending on design you have to take that call as a UI designer, you have to take that call as a UI designer what I have to follow, ठीक है। now ये अपना कॉलम ग्रिड हो गया, कौन सा ग्रिड हो गया, कॉलम ग्रिड। अब इसमें भी और जब डीप डाइव जाएंगे तो देखेंगे कि ये कॉलम ग्रिड कितने में डिवाइड होती है, तो 12 कॉलम्स, राइट, 12 कॉलम्स में हर कॉलम की साइज डिफाइन होती है और उसकी गटर स्पेस भी डिफाइन होती है, वो सब क्या होता है बाद में। और दूसरा एक होता है 8 पॉइंट ग्रिड, और वो 8 पॉइंट ग्रिड कहाँ काम आती है। सो मान लो कि ये एक सेक्शन मैंने बनाया है, ठीक है। अब इस सेक्शन के अंदर, इस सेक्शन के अंदर मेरा एक बटन है, तो बटन की हाइट जो होगी दैट वुड बी मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 8 इन मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 8 रादर, कि उसकी हाइट या तो 64 होगी या तो 56 होगी, ऐसा 55 54 ऐसा नहीं होगा, ठीक है। इट वुड बी इन मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 8। तो वो जो स्पेसिंग भी होगी ना, जैसे मान लो यहाँ पर हेडिंग है, यहाँ पर बटन है, तो ये जो बीच की स्पेस है वो भी इन मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 8 होगी, या तो मैं 8 पिक्सल्स छोड़ूंगा या मैं 16 पिक्सल छोड़ूंगा या 24 वैसा। पर ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मैंने एक जगह 8 कर दिया, एक जगह 15 कर दिया, एक जगह 20 कर दिया, नहीं, इट हैज टू बी इन मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 8, ठीक है। और ऊपर नीचे सब जगह सिर्फ वैसा ही होगा। तो वन इज द कॉलम ग्रिड एंड वन इज द 8 पॉइंट ग्रिड। तो जब मैं बटन वगैरह भी बना रहा हूँ ना ऐसे, तो ये भी फिर 8 पॉइंट ग्रिड में ही जाएगा, ठीक है। तो ये जो मैं पैडिंग वगैरह छोड़ूंगा वो सब 8.8 के मल्टीपल्स होने चाहिए, ठीक है।
तो इवन इफ द कॉलम्स, जब ये ग्रिड सिस्टम हम लोग डिफाइन कर रहे हैं, तो 8 पॉइंट में जो साइड का जो
नहीं, वो 8 पॉइंट में नहीं आता है, कॉलम ग्रिड इज डिफरेंट, 8 पॉइंट ग्रिड इज डिफरेंट।
ओके, तो उसमें कंटेनर कैसे रहता है?
वो जब उस पर जाएंगे तब मैं बताऊंगा।
नहीं,
8 पॉइंट में कंटेनर नहीं होता है, 8 पॉइंट इज, तो दो अलग चीजें हैं, दो अलग चीजें हैं। ये कॉलम ग्रिड अलग है, 8 पॉइंट ग्रिड अलग है। 8 पॉइंट ग्रिड पर छोटे छोटे एलिमेंट के लिए जाता है, एक छोटे बटन से लेके पूरे आपके पेज के लिए वो 8.8 फॉलो होती है, नॉट फॉर कॉलम्स। ठीक है, नॉट फॉर कॉलम्स, इट इज ओनली फॉर एलिमेंट्स, योर कंपोनेंट्स एंड एवरीथिंग। स्पेसिंग, जो भी आप उस दिन क्वेश्चन पूछा था ध्यान में कि कितनी स्पेसिंग होनी चाहिए, करेक्ट? इट हैज टू बी इन मल्टीपल्स ऑफ 8। कितनी होनी चाहिए वो आप डिजाइन देके जजमेंट हो जाए कि अगर आपकी डिजाइन ज्यादा ही क्लीन है, जो मिनिमल डेटा दिखाना है, तो उसमें भी स्पेस ऐसे नहीं आपने रैंडम खाली नीचे कर दिया, हाँ ये अच्छा लग रहा है कर दिया, नहीं, इट हैज टू बी डिफाइंड। ठीक है, तो वो हम 8.8 से करते हैं।
वी कैन कंबाइन।
हाँ होगा ही
वो कर रहे करेगा।
हाँ, मतलब दो अलग चीजें,
हाँ,
दो अलग चीजें ऐसा है। तो एक है कि आप टेलर के पास जाके आपका शर्ट सिलवा रहे हो, ठीक है। दूसरा क्या है ये कि आप उसके ऊपर एसेसरीज अलग से लगवा रहे हो। जैसे अभी ये फीमेल्स है, तो वो कुर्ता कहीं से सिलवाएगी, उसके ऊपर वो एसेसरीज और लगवाएगी, कि वो लेस लगा दिया, फिर वो बाकी से वो काम करवा दिया है ना, तो वो जो एनहांसमेंट्स है ना वो सब 8.8 से आता है।
तो मीन्स इन शॉर्ट कि हम लेआउट मीन जो भी हमने डिजाइन बनाई है उसमें जो हर एक एलिमेंट की स्पेसिंग और पैडिंग या जो भी है वो 8.8 से डिसाइड
यस,
प्लेसिंग द एलिमेंट्स ऑन द
Yes.
पेज।
क्लियर?
even that works on the responsive.
हाँ, सबके लिए, सबके लिए फॉलो होता है। तो दिस इज द ग्रिड स्ट्रक्चर। अब द मेजर पार्ट ऑफ यूआई डिजाइन, यहाँ पर फॉन्ट्स कवर हो गया, ग्रिड में स्पेसिंग कवर हो गई। अब आता है द इमेजरी। तो इमेजेस में विजुअल्स, तो उसमें बहुत सारी चीजें आती है। एक होता है आइकन्स, एक होता है इलस्ट्रेशंस, ठीक है, एक होता है इमेजेस। अब इलस्ट्रेशन अलग चीज है। फिर नाउ देयर इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ 3D एलिमेंट्स, आइसोमेट्रिक, ठीक है। सो अब ये इलस्ट्रेशन जो है उसमें फर्दर बहुत सारे डिफरेंट टाइप्स होते हैं। इलस्ट्रेशन के बहुत सारे अलग अलग टाइप्स होते हैं। 2D इलस्ट्रेशन हो गए, 3D इलस्ट्रेशन हो गए, ठीक है। आइसोमेट्रिक इज ऑल्सो एन इलस्ट्रेशन वैसे। सो इसमें आपको मेजरली टाइम स्पेंड करना पड़ता है इन यूआई डिजाइन। ये लेआउटिंग वगैरह हो जाने के बाद दिस इज समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू वर्क ऑन। क्यों? क्योंकि अगर आप वेबसाइट से विजुअल हटा दोगे ना, तो बेसिक सा सिर्फ ब्रोशर रहेगा विदाउट एनी इमेजेस, है ना, सिर्फ टेक्स्ट होगा उसमें, कुछ आप फॉलो नहीं कर पाओगे। सो इमेजेस हेल्प इन विजुअलाइजिंग। सो एज अ यूएक्स डिजाइनर आल्सो यू हैव टू मेक श्योर कि जब आप लेआउट भी बना रहे हो, आपकी वायरफ्रेम में बना रहे हो, कीप इनफ रूम फॉर इलस्ट्रेशंस आल्सो, नॉट ओनली फॉर टेक्स्ट। जहां आइकन्स यूज कर सकते हो विदाउट गेटिंग इट क्लटर्ड, यूज इट, क्योंकि इमेजेस ज्यादा अपील करती है। इलस्ट्रेशंस आइकन वो ज्यादा अपील करता है कि अगर मैंने वहां पर सिर्फ टाइम लिखने की जगह सिर्फ एक क्लॉक का आइकन डाल दिया, दैट इज सेइंग, दैट इज स्पीकिंग मोर टू मी कंपेयर टू द वर्ड टाइम, क्योंकि मुझे वो पढ़ना पड़ेगा, है ना। वेयरएज विजुअली अगर मैं सिर्फ देख रहा हूँ तो मुझे समझ में आ जाएगा। तो दैट इज हाउ स्मार्ट द विजुअल्स आर, है ना। तो यूज ऑफ आइकन्स, यूज ऑफ illustrations, images has to be very smart. अब इसका भी बहुत ज्यादा ध्यान रखना है कि जो हम कलर यूज कर रहे हैं इलस्ट्रेशन में, वो हमारे इसके हिसाब से होना चाहिए, कलर पैलेट के हिसाब से। आउट ऑफ नोवेयर हमने फ्री पिक से उठा लिया, आइकन चिपका दिया, वैसा नहीं होगा। तो दिख जाएगा कि वो आपने उठा के चिपकाया है। क्यों? क्योंकि एक तो सब स्टाइल ऑफ आइकन सेम होने चाहिए, या इलस्ट्रेशन सेम होने चाहिए, या इमेजेस सेम होनी चाहिए। दूसरा, जितने भी आपके इलस्ट्रेशन आइकन इमेजेस है, सबका फील सेम होना चाहिए, सबका कलर पैलेट सेम होना चाहिए, ठीक है। ओनली देन द वेबसाइट विल लुक एंड सिंक, वरना फ्लॉप शो, ठीक है। अब पांचवा एलिमेंट है माइक्रो इंटरैक्शन, माइक्रो इंटरैक्शन। अब ये क्या है? सो जब मैं वेबसाइट देख रहा हूँ एज ए यूजर, तो मैं बटन पे अगर मेरा माउस लेके जाता हूँ तो कुछ होता है उस पर बटन पे, राइट? उसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? होवर इफेक्ट। होवर, होवर मीन्स माउस लेके जाता हूँ तो उसके ऊपर कोई इफेक्ट आता है, तो हम उसको क्या बोलते हैं? होवर इफेक्ट। सो वो जो इफेक्ट आता है ना, वो यूआई डिजाइनर बनाएगा। Yes. अगर वो नहीं बना सकता है फिग्मा में, दैट्स फाइन, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लिमिटेशंस भी होते हैं, लेकिन टू कन्वे दैट टू द डेवलपर कि माउस होवर पे ऐसा होना चाहिए, तो वो रेफरेंसेस आपको कलेक्ट करने पड़ेंगे। एक और रेफरेंस में आप ये देख सकते हो, कोड पेन, और एक है कोड ड्रॉप्स, ठीक है? सो कोड पेन और कोड ड्रॉप्स में क्या होगा, आपको ना, ये एक्चुअली डेवलपर के प्लेटफॉर्म है दोनों, ठीक है? लेकिन आपको यहाँ से ना रेफरेंसेस मिलेंगे फॉर दी स्मॉल स्मॉल माइक्रो इंटरेक्शंस। आप जाके सर्च करोगे सिर्फ बटन, तो आपको इतने सारे लाइव डिजाइन वाले नहीं, प्रॉपर लाइव डेवलप हुए हुए आपको एलिमेंट्स मिलेंगे, जो आप डेवलपर को दे सकते हो कि देखो बटन का एनिमेशन मेरे को ऐसा चाहिए, ठीक है? सो उसके लिए आप ये दो फॉलो कर सकते हो, कोड पेन एंड कोड ड्रॉप्स। क्लियर? सो माइक्रो इंटरेक्शन में सिर्फ बटन का नहीं है। अब मैं जब स्क्रॉल कर रहा हूँ, तो कौन सा एलिमेंट कैसे एनिमेट होगा, वो भी माइक्रो इंटरेक्शन। समझ में आ रहा है? जब मैं स्क्रॉल कर रहा हूँ तो कोई एलिमेंट अगर ऐसे एक साथ आ रहा है, या फिर कोई एलिमेंट बस ऐसे फेड इन होके आ रहा है, या फेड आउट हो रहा है जब मैं स्क्रॉल कर रहा हूँ, जो भी है, तो वो सब माइक्रो इंटरेक्शन है।
नहीं कैसे
कैसे? यूएक्स डिजाइनर भी इमेजिन कर सकता है, और वो भी यूआई डिजाइनर को कन्वे कर सकता है कि मैंने ये सोच के बनाया है वैसा।
तो ये एनिमेशन का फिग्मा में बनेगा?
कुछ हद तक बन जाता है, कुछ हद तक नहीं बनेगा।
ये डायरेक्ट कोड करूँ?
अपने को नहीं करना पड़ेगा, यूआई
ठीक है,
फ्रंट एंड डेवलपर करना पड़ेगा, पर आपको उसको रेफरेंस देना पड़ेगा। कोई रेफरेंस, वेबसाइट का रेफरेंस दोगे तो भी चलेगा, ये जैसे मैंने कोड पेन कोड ड्रॉप्स बोला उसका भी चलेगा, ड्रिबल पे भी एनिमेशंस के आपको रेफरेंसेस मिलेंगे, वो भी चलेगा, बट उसको देना जरूरी है। आपके दिमाग में और आप बोला ऐसा ऐसे ऐसे कर दो, ऐसा नहीं होगा, कुछ तो दिखाना पड़ेगा आपको, हवा में बात नहीं होगी, ठीक है? तो फिर
स्मॉल स्मॉल एनिमेशंस जो होते हैं, जैसे कि अपन कभी फुटर में वो जैसे जीआईपी सीएस में अपन वो गाड़ी चल,
हाँ, वो सब माइक्रो इंटरेक्शन।
तो वो चीजें फिग्मा में बन जाती है।
डिपेंड, अगेन डिपेंड्स, डिपेंड
एकदम एक सिंपल एक गाड़ी चला।
हाँ, पर वो डिपेंड करता है। अभी माइक्रो इंटरेक्शन भी नॉट नेसेसरी सब कुछ फिग्मा में ही हो। माइक्रो इंटरेक्शन के लिए ठीक है, आप फिग्मा में कुछ हद तक कर सकते हो, स्क्रॉल के एनिमेशन जो है वो आप एक बार बता सकते हो, फिर उसके बाद बटन के एनिमेशन है वो भी आप थोड़े थोड़े बता सकते हैं, लेकिन बाकी आपको जितने भी ये सब इंटरेक्शंस है, तो दो तीन चीज है। एक है आप वीडियो फॉर्मेट बना सकते हो, ठीक है, जो स्क्रोल पे डेवलपर उसको रन करेगा, स्क्रोल पे डेवलपर उसको रन करेगा। इसके आगे जब हम डिटेल में जाएंगे ना, मैं एग्जांपल शेयर करूंगा। एक होता है विच इज हाईएस्ट यूज नाउअडेज, विच इज लॉटी एनिमेशन, ठीक है, विच इज लॉटी एनिमेशन, ठीक है। सो ये सारी चीजें, एक और भी होता है सीक्वेंस, और वो डिपेंड करता है कि डेवलपर को कितना आता है। ये सब डेवलपर के लिए हेल्पफुल होता है। लॉटी एनिमेशन में लॉटी फाइल दे देता है, और डेवलपर फिर उसको अपने कोड में डालता है, तो वो एनिमेट होने लगती है, ठीक है।
फ्रेमर पर
फ्रेमर इज अ सेपरेट थिंग, पर उस पे भी मतलब आपके ये क्या बोलते हैं ना, फिग्मा के जो स्क्रीन्स होते हैं वो सब एनिमेट होते हैं।
ये लॉटी और सीक्वेंस इट इज नॉन में रहेगा या फिर अलग है?
नहीं नहीं, ये फिग्मा अलग है और ये सब कुछ अलग इस पे होता है। जैसे लॉटी है तो लॉटी की एक अपनी वेबसाइट है, सीक्वेंस है तो आप सीक्वेंस का एक डेवलपर ये चीज है कि आप जितने भी उसमें फ्रेम्स है, जैसे आपके एनिमेशन में, आप उसको सीक्वेंस में दे दो, मतलब बहुत सारे आपको उसको इमेजेस देने पड़ेंगे, और फिर डेवलपर क्या करेगा, उसको सीक्वेंस में रन करेगा, डेवलपर सीक्वेंस में उसको रन करेगा, ठीक है, ऐसे।
ये लॉटी भी हमको ही करके देना पड़ेगा?
हाँ, लॉटी एज अ डिजाइनर आपको करना पड़ेगा, और उसमें करना कुछ नहीं होता है, आपको उसके अलग अलग सीक्वेंस बनाने होते हैं और फिर लॉटी में उसको रेंडर करवाना होता है, तो वो प्रॉपर एक आपको एनिमेट करके देता है, ठीक है। वो कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है, वो आप उसकी वेबसाइट पे जाके भी देखोगे तो भी समझ में आ जाएगा।
जैसे जिस पर
एग्जैक्टली। तो लॉटी में आपको जिफ भी मिल जाएगा। लॉटी इज अ टाइप ऑफ फाइल, ठीक है, लॉटी एनिमेशन। तो उसमें अगर आपको जिफ एनिमेट जिफ डाउनलोड करना, जिफ भी कर सकते। So all of these comprises UI design. All of these comprises of UI design. Correct? अब क्या टाइम हो रहा है? 12 बज गए हैं। तो मैंने लिंक शेयर की है, सब ना वो लिंक पे ज्वाइन हो जाओ। सब स्पीकर्स ऑफ कर देना आपने अपने स्पीकर्स माइक कनेक्ट द स्पीकर सो दैट एवरीवन कैन लिसन। Hi everyone. So we have Pratik Karkera with us. He is working with me since 10 years now, more than 10 years, I guess. His major part in the process or in the Leonine, right, is the UI designing. It's the UI designing. And he is the best in what he does. So अगर आप उसके designs देखो, अगर आप उसके जितने भी छोटी छोटी चीजें भी वो जो बनाता है, the passion that he adds to the project, the interest that he adds to the project, and the final outcome आता है is next level. Okay, so we will also ask him to share his thought process, give us details about the color theory specifically. Please someone किसी का mic चालू है, please off it, speaker. And at the same time also I'll also ask him to please share the websites that he has worked on, है ना, कि कैसे वो डिजाइन्स बनाता है, क्या थॉट प्रोसेस होता है और उसका फाइनल आउटकम कैसा होता है, स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम वायरफ्रेम टू द डिजाइन. ठीक है. सो Pratik, over to you. Thank you for joining us today. Everyone is really excited and waiting for your guidance and for your journey, that you can add on out here.
Hey, hi. I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me, Harsh. This has been long due, I guess now. So first of all, apology. I think we were supposed to do this last week, but due to some reasons we couldn't continue. But we are here today. So yeah. So as Harsh said, we've been working for last more than 10 years now. We basically, you can say, started together. We were just like you guys starting in this field. We learned from each other a lot, and without his crisp UX, I don't think I would be able to do what I do smoothly. So UX plays a major role in UI as well. So we've been working that way for all these years. So for today, we'll kind of look at color theory. But color theory is a very vast subject. But we'll look at it in terms of how to make use of that color theory in UI. So I've made a small presentation. I have just kept it real crisp in terms of UI. So if you want to study color theory in depth, it is a very vast subject. As I said, there are a lot of materials available online also. So I'll just take you through the basics, and as Harsh said, we'll later on look at my approach as a designer, how I approach the design. Uh, so let's start then.
Sure, Pratik.
Yeah. So the art of UI. So So UX is, as I said, it's the foundation from where the UI designer starts. Now, once the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about UI from UX is we talk about colors and how colors play an important role in the process of UI. So, why does the color theory matter? So color theory is essentially an aspect of design that can greatly impact the overall message and effectiveness of a design. So the UX can be, the UX can be crisp and clear. It can be amazing, but if the colors are not used properly in a UI, it can make and break the design. The UX can go for a toss if the colors aren't utilized correctly. So understanding color theory is very important in when you start your UI journey, because it helps you to understand how colors work together, and you understand different color schemes, colors, emotions, moods, and how to direct the user throughout the website. Uh, Color plays a major role in that. So the basics of color theory, I'm sure many of you must have even read about this, heard about this in your school days as well, when we used to learn drawing, painting, and stuff. So I'll just take you through it. So the primary colors, as we know, is red, blue, and yellow, and they can't be created by mixing any other colors. They are the pure form of colors. Okay. So the secondary colors are made by mixing these primary colors. For example, to generate a green color, you'll have to mix blue with yellow, and for the purple, you will have to mix red with blue. And for orange, obviously, the most easiest one, you'll have to mix yellow with red, and they get orange. Now, the third one is the tertiary colors. Now, what is tertiary? Tertiary is simply mixing primary and the secondary colors, like red and orange, yellow and green, and then you get this whole spectrum, right? So, if you all have any doubts, or you can poke in, no problem.
Any doubts, anyone?
Yeah.
You can continue, Pratik.
Okay. So then we come to the psychology of colors, right? Uh, so color, as I said, is a very powerful tool in UI design. It can affect moods and emotions. So different colors generate different emotions. So uh, here are a few examples of what colors depict. So you can see red. Red depicts energy, passion, danger.
Pratik, sorry to cut in. Are you
Yeah.
sharing the screen because we are not able to see it?
Oh, I haven't. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Just a second. Can you all see it now?
Perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
So I'll just quickly take you through the primary colors again. I thought you all were seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay. So as I said, primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. You mix these colors, you get secondary colors. So you make to get green, you mix blue and yellow. To get purple, you mix red and blue, and to get orange, you mix red and yellow. And tertiary colors are a mix of the both, a mix of primary and secondary colors. You can see where these gaps fill up. Those are the tertiary colors, right?
Super.
Okay. So yeah, so even so there is something called as complementary colors. I mean, it's a vast subject. If you want to learn in deep, you can. But for UX, for the UI process, I think this is sufficient. Then we can talk about the psychology of colors. As I said, that different colors emote different moods. They mean different things, right? So like you can see here, red color generally depicts energy, passion, danger, or in our UI terms, we generally use it to depict any error message. Even orange, creativity, youth, enthusiasm. Yellow, happiness, hope, spontaneity. Green, obviously related with nature, growth, money, health. Blue is the calming color, most favorite colors used by corporate brands. Uh, it depicts calmness, trust, intelligence. Violet, obviously, used for luxury brands. You can see many jewelry brands use violet, even purple for that matter. So some examples like I've jotted down here are the health brands. Even many health brands will correlate them with blue color because it conveys trust and reliability. Because in a healthcare brand, that is the most important thing. Fast food chains, the biggest one being McDonald's. What it is, red and yellow, warm colors. So warm colors generally, they give you a sense of hunger or food. All major, food brands you'll see are in the category of warm colors. And similarly, social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter. Twitter now is X, but initially they were that, the Tweety bird, which was blue in color because it, again, depicts trust and security. So, and then there are dating apps like Tinder, Bumble that use bright colors, pink and orange, because they want to depict that sense of fun and playfulness, right? Uh, then we can talk about color attributes like, uh, as I mentioned, warm and cool colors. So, uh, warm colors are generally, as I said, used to depict brands with fun or food element, and cool colors are more corporate because they are passive in nature. Warm colors are more active. So if you want to show some kind of calmness, like a corporate website generally, these are the shades that you would probably go for. Now this is, uh, you can say, it is not a standard rule. people are breaking this norm also of using, vibrant colors uh, in corporate websites as well. But that, that's an exception for the brand. I mean, if the brand wants to, depict itself that way, uh, that's how we go about it. But in general terms, this is how it works. So the warm shades are generally yellow, red, and blue shades, and the cooler ones obviously being the shades of blue, purple, etc. Any doubts there? Am I going too
We'll,
fast?
no, you're going good. We'll ask the doubts later so
No
that
problem.
we don't intervene in between.
No problem. Okay. Then we talk about color contrast. Now, this is a very major factor when it comes to UI, uh, because if there is no contrast in a design, then obviously the user would be confused as to what he has to look at. Right. I have an example in the presentation ahead. I'll show you what is the exact issue, but let's just briefly talk about this right here. So, so the color contrast is a very key aspect because your elements, you want your user to click has to stand out clearly, and another aspect that you have to keep in mind is the accessibilities, because there are certain people who can't see certain colors. So even when you design a UI, you have to keep that in mind, especially uh, in apps, because there are 100 things going on. Like if you have an app like Grow, for example, if you all have used, there are so many things. There are numbers, there are graphs. The color should be of such contrast that a person who can't, see certain colors, like if a person can't make out a difference between a blue and a green, and if you place, a green object on a blue background, he'll just see something. He'll just see a flat surface. So if you have a green CTA against a blue background, maybe the person will not be able to spot your CTA, and that's a UI failure there, right? Um, so that's about it for accessibility and color contrast. Yeah. So colors and CTA, the most major aspect in a UI. CTA is a button that you want the user to direct to, but how you design that, how you make it pop, uh, is I mean, is how you use colors. So you can see in this example over here. See, because it's a very text heavy banner, you can say. So you can see that the CTA in this example doesn't really stand out because it is a thin line, and it is the it is almost a flat depiction of the button. And here you can see that the first thing that your eye sees is this huge text over here, which is bright in color against the white background. And the next thing you see is get started. So you see your property investment journey starts here, get started. People don't really read the second line, but these two parts are very important to get someone to click on the button, right? If you fail in this, the whole website is a failure, because end of the day you want your users to click this button. So you can see how nicely the user is directed and forced to click on the get started button, because this is the major chunk that stands out. Also, when you decide the color for the CTA, I'll talk about this about this more, but I'll just give a short summary. When you select CTA colors, you should keep in mind where these CTAs are going to be used, and what the actual brand colors are, and what the accent color is. According to that, you choose your CTA, and uh, when you choose your CTA, you should also choose on what backgrounds they go on. So as I said, if you place a blue city on a green background, a person who cannot depict, make the difference between those colors he'll find it very difficult. Whereas in this case, even if the guy cannot see the blue color, because of this high contrast here, we can still understand this is a button, right? So again, color playing a major role in the UI. Then error messages, another aspect where colors are used, to give out certain messages in UI. So, so here you can see how smartly the colors are used. When it is not that alarming information, it's just an information. So it's saying that the user is pending action. So we've made use of a subtle blue over here. It could also be, some other accent colors, maybe something from the brand itself. In this case, it's a blue. And when it is a slight, important warning, they've made use of yellow. And when it is an absolute major error, they've gone with red. So that you know that this is very important and you have to look at this. And obviously, success messages. For success messages, we use green because it kind of gives you a feel good to see that success message also. And generally, we correlate success with green and any failure with red. So even this plays a very major role. Even if a person sees this pop up at a very small size at the bottom, even if he sees a red color pop, he knows that there is something wrong. And if he sees a green, he knows that okay, I've completed the task or whatever I've done is fine. Okay. Then yeah. So color now in terms of data visualization, as I said now, as we spoke about that reds and greens, and so in data visualization uh, design, I mean dashboards for that instance, colors play a very important role. I mean, I don't think we have ever seen a dashboard which is black and white, and obviously the colors in the dashboard are there for some reason. It's not to make your UI beautiful. Obviously, they make your UI beautiful, uh, but colors in dashboards have meanings. Like like for this example, you can see that this blue tick over here. Now it is quite universal right now that you see this blue tick, you see that the user is a verified user. Twitter and Instagram and Facebook have made it pretty, standard. So we all know that you see this badge and a blue tick on it, you know that it is a verified person. And when you see a down arrow with a red mark, that means there's you're talking about some loss over here. When you see green colors with the growth, you understand immediately that you're talking about some kind of gain or some kind of positive message, right? And similarly, in graphs, there are certain colors. Uh, you know, uh, there are certain colors that talk about certain pointers in the graphs. You Colors are used in the legends to talk about certain points in the charts, in the graphs, in the different kinds of charts that we use in data visualization. So colors over there also play a very important role to tell you what data is what, right? So we look at some of case studies. So one most famous being, I think many of you might be using Spotify. So you can see how they've used their brand color so very well. like this huge play button that is in the brand color of Spotify. And whatever is playing is highlighted by this blue color, by this green color. Sorry. Uh, uh, so wherever they wanted the user to have the attention, they've used their brand colors very nicely. Even when I think if this is the favorite mark over here, so this song is favorited, so you can see that even that is depicted in their brand colors. So they've used that green color uh, so nicely that even if you don't see any important screen of this Spotify, if it's even if it's a setting screen on a black it's on a black background with some CT of green color, you will probably guess, oh, this is a Spotify app, even without seeing the Spotify logo here. That's how people the brands register their colors and the overall brand in your head. Next example being Airbnb. I don't know how many of you might have used this, uh, but Airbnb has some amazing designs. I Harsh, we follow their design a lot for not just the UI but the way they do their UX. So recently, I think a year back, they went ahead and redesigned the whole app and web experience. So first, I think for the first 4 to 5 years, they were very pink heavy, pink on white. But now they have moved away from that and they've gone with a more monotone color, and they use that pink Airbnb color only at very important CTAs. So I spoke about the importance of CTA. Here you can see that if you want to reserve this room, it is that pink in color. And you can see, I don't know if you can view this, but you can see there's a user over here, and I think he is a super host. So they give their super host a badge. So when you see that badge, you know that you can trust this user. So that even that color they have used, uh, color that they use is their brand color. So they've used their brand colors in very important places. Again, when you favorite this heart over here, even that heart turns into that brand color of Airbnb. So they tend to direct the users to the important points. Even if you don't read all of it, you know what is where, and slowly these things register in your mind. And when the second or third time you come to use the app, your hands move freely throughout the app because your mind has registered the colors and where the button is and how the button looks. You don't even read, you know that it's a reserve button and you just click on it. Now, yeah, as I spoke, common mistakes that we do when using color in UI design. So sometimes when we are, especially when we are new, we all have made this mistake. We think that you make the website colorful. Uh, that means that the website is very it's a very beautiful website. You've done something creative. Whereas if you use any one color, you feel like अरे इसमें क्या मेहनत की है, एक ही color तो use किया, क्या contrast है इसमें. So we tend to make that mistake initially. We don't look at contrast. So I was talking about that contrast issue. You can see that this design here is very flat. It almost looks like we have a white layer on it. So you can't really read the data over here. But in this example, you can see that it stands out clearly, the purple background and the user icon over here. You can read the text more clearly because it is slightly darker, card over here depicting the name. And even the bottom, navigation over there, like post, likes, and followed, you can see that the post is highlighted very nicely, and that tells you that it's in the active state, right? And another example now, this is the classic example of a designer who is new to design. I mean, you look at this design and you think, now where do I click? Or what do I do with this? Uh, you can see there's a search here, but you can't really see it. You can see these icons are colorful, yes, but what do they mean? The text is hardly readable over here, right? And it is also at a very smaller size, so you can't really read. Now this again, this looks almost like in a disabled state, like you can't click this. So this is a classic example of using too much colors and very very less contrast, almost no contrast in your design. So you can't really direct the only best contrast in this whole design is this part over here, because the home button really stands out, but again the rest of them are hardly visible. So this is the wrong way of going about with colors, right? So conclusion being, as I said, I mean, if you use colors rightly, keeping all the color theories, the contrast, and you know, not doing these kind of mistakes, and using the brand colors efficiently, uh, uh, you will get an absolutely amazing design. If not amazing, it will be effective for sure. So color can make and break the design. So this is how at least how I go about with colors, and I hope I could put some light and explain you uh, about how color works in UI. So if you all have any questions, you all can shoot them at me, and I will try to answer them.
Sure, Pratik. Thank you. Thank you so much for this beautiful presentation. I mean, we really, got a deep insight about the colors, the contrast, how to use it, the implementations of it. Of course, a few of them have some questions out here. So over to them. I'll ask them to, unmute their mic and ask the questions by themselves.
Yeah, please.
Bolo.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Jigar audible?
Not yet.
Say something.
Hello. Hello, Pratik.
Yeah, Jigar, tell me.
So, Pratik, I have two, three questions. Like, is there any ideal number of colors that we need to follow, like maximum or minimum at least?
Uh, so the ideal way of selecting a color is first you look at the brand identity, right? Uh, like for example, if you see this, our call UI design. Right? You can see there's a red button over here. You can see there's a white highlight. So here it tells you that the red will end this call. So this is a purposeful use of that color, but you can't say that this is the use of the brand color, right? So these are some colors that you have to use, when you have a purpose. But for a brand like Google overall, you can see Google is a very colorful brand, right? There are almost 4 colors in Google, and they use that throughout their websites. Uh, but for a brand like, say, Apple, so Apple, you can see that most of their CTAs are black, right? But that doesn't mean that they don't use color throughout their website. So the usage of colors or the number of colors depends on brand to brand. Like if the brand requires it, you use it. If the brand has 4 colors, you try to utilize it. But you make sure that you have a fix on the CTA. The CTA has to be 1 color or at the most 2 colors, depending on the background. As I said, you have to keep in mind the background that you use on every CTA. So, just a second, I'll just pull up an example for Google, maybe. Okay, can see, you can see, like, as I told, Google has many. You all can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that there are many colors over here of different subsidiary brands of Google. But you can see all their CTAs. You can see the CTA over here. It's in blue.
Yeah.
When you see a white background and a blue CTA on it in this manner, you know that it is something to do with Google. Your mind clicks and it tells that this is something to do with Google. Similarly, with maybe a YouTube. YouTube won't be a good example. Let's look at Apple. See, uh, okay. So even Apple in places are sorry, I was wrong. So in Apple also you can see that this CTA that is common uh, all their throughout their website, right? But there are other colors being used throughout the throughout the website. But in what Apple does smartly is they use their colors within the images. You won't see it in any kind of graphics, but within the images itself. So the usage of colors, as I said, is totally dependent on what brand you're making that design for, and but always try to fix a couple of colors for the CT. Uh, Let me know if that clears or not. I can still explain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Other question is like, if you are referring to any website or any something, is there any patent does that complication will come?
No.
Sorry, I didn't get.
So his concern was that if you are referring to some website, so
Mhm.
is it that they'll track us for the copyright or some issues that way?
Just for referring it.
Yeah.
You're referring
No,
any
no, no,
field,
no.
you just say.
No, you still want.
See, initially, I'll tell you, and we have done this, we both have done this, I and Harsh. Initially, when you're practicing design, even if you can copy what you look at the screen, like if you can copy this iPhone website, uh, same to same, it's a very good achievement. I mean, because it is a good practice. You understand what this. Now we are talking about colors, but I'll tell you other things about the UI as well. You will know how this spacing works, how this hierarchy of font works. So even if you copy for practice, it's a good practice. The world copies the Apple website. whatever Apple designs is a trend. You go to any phone that is launched, you will see a similar a pattern similar to the what Apple does. So Apple has set the standard. So nothing really in this world is original. We kind of reference it from many places. Until and unless you copy something, point to point, and you upload it as your own website, that will be a problem. But otherwise, there's no issue with that.
One more question, like
Yeah.
in terms from development point of view, like so I see like in majority of the case we the color standards are RGB, and here like in the UI designing it is like RB and yellow. I see that.
So this is the basic color theory for mixing colors. So what is RGB? Red, green, and blue, right? So those are three values that the developer needs from you. So in terms that so what I showed you was the basic color theory that we use widely, not just UI. Like I said in the starting, that you must have learned about this. So this is primary, secondary, and tertiary. And what you're talking about, RGB, CMYK, those are those are color models. There are many like that: RGB, CMYK, HSL. But now that is a very vast subject. So when you select colors, you don't really have to mix RGB. Okay. I personally work with hex codes, but because I also design brands, and RGB is what we use digitally. CMYK is generally used for print, and there are other formats also nowadays that people make use to create shades, tones, etc. On you can even if you open Figma, you will see these different color modules, HSL, HSB, and I think there are few more which I can't remember right now. So those are color models, and it's not necessary that you know all of them. Uh, the most important point being is the usage of that color and how you use, like how you use it on a CTA, how you use it on a error message. That is what matters, and where you use what color.
Super. Any other doubts, anyone? Yes.
Pradeep bhai, so
Yeah.
I'm so my question is that how you decide that means after identifying the brand identity and what the work it does. So how you decide that whether I should go with the monochromatic color, means using the single color with different contrast and saturation, or using multiple colors. So how you make that decision?
So that decision again is very brand dependent. Now, generally, when do you use a very colorful approach? If you're creating something for say you're creating a website for a kindergarten school, you can't expect it to be clean like an Apple website, right? It has to be colorful because it is directed towards kids. How do you use fonts in that? The fonts have to be rounded fonts, right? These are some aspects that you keep in mind based on what your brand is. So, as a UI designer, understanding the brand and the brand requirement is a very important part. Uh, Harsh, is it okay if I take them through that design approach? I think most of the doubts will be cleared over there.
Please. Please do.
Yeah?
Please do. Yeah.
Okay, then I'll take you through another very horrible presentation that I've created, but you will get to know and most of these questions will be answered. So this is how basically I approach design. This is my approach to any design. if you may ask maybe another designer, he might have another approach. So it differs user to so designer to designer how they approach the design. But this has worked for me for the past 10 years now. So I think this is also a decent approach. So I'll just take you through it, right? Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So the first step is requirement gathering, as that was your question, right? So you first gather the requirement from uh, the client, or if the UX is already done. This is how we work at Leonon. Like if Harsh has done the UX, um, he has understood what the client requirement is, what the client does, and what the client is envisioning, and how he wants the brand to be depicted. So uh, these are the few questions that you ask. What the brand does, who the brand is directed towards. Like I said, if for a kindergarten school, so you design the website accordingly. And what is the purpose of that website? Now here we are talking purely about website, but the same can be applied for any kind of design, right? And where also is a very important question that we don't ask. Suppose if we are designing this for, say, someone sitting in Dubai, right? They or someone sitting in Germany. Maybe the language that we use or the designs that we use may be offensive, maybe for some of them sitting in different countries. We depict things differently in different countries. So it is important to understand the demographics also of where this website is going to um, the website is going to be showcased, and how this brand maybe helps their end users, or how they want the end user to be helped by this brand, right? So these are few questions that you ask your, if the UX is already done, you will obviously get it from your UX designer or directly from the client, right? Sorry. Then what we do is research and reference gather. So the most major mistake that we do is, okay, it's a kindergarten brand, so we know how it be. So let's just this is so and so is the color. We'll just start designing it. But no, that is a very wrong approach. Maybe what you're doing day in and day out is become old right now. It's not something that is working or may not work 2 years down the line, which is obviously not feasible for the brand. So what you do is you research about the brand, gather some reference. So when you gather reference, another mistake that we do is, suppose if we are creating a website for a food brand. So what we tend to do is, even if you are referencing, we tend to look at only food brands. I mean, it's okay. You should look at. You should understand how the website is working, how they approach the brand, etc. But also look at award-winning websites. There are sites like AWW Awards. There are sites like Dribble, Behance. See what other websites also are doing. You might get an idea from there. You might see some cool animation that you can maybe depict or bring it to the table for a for a food brand. Maybe you saw something being done in a jewelry brand that you like, some animation that flows from top to bottom, and then you say, okay, this can be used for this food brand as well. So when you're gathering references, also keep that in mind. Then the next step is assessment of the brand or branding. So so you have to first understand, is there a current brand guideline in place? So brand is already designed, and if there is colors defined, your job gets easier. You know what colors to use where. But in some cases, like we have clients like we don't really have a brand color. Please, I mean, you आपको जो अच्छा लगता है use करो. This is the most lame answer that we get. But in such cases, you look at the brand and you think you assess yourself that okay, I think this color will work for this brand. And once you assess that, then you have to identify secondary colors. But it's okay if you don't identify the secondary colors at a very early stage. Sometimes, when even if you define those secondary colors, when you sit down and design, they don't really work. So that can be decided down the line if you don't have a brand guideline in place. And obviously, then the last point, assess the field of the client. So, as I said, if it's a food brand or if it's a kindergarten brand, assess how the field works. What are the general color usages, like I mentioned in the earlier presentation. If it's a food brand, you tend to use warmer colors. If it's a very corporate brand, you tend to use cool colors like blue, purple, etc. Then the other step is the font exploration. Again, if the brand guideline is in place, you don't have to, break your head behind this, because there will obviously be a font decided for the brand. So in some cases too. So if not, uh, just explore the fonts like you did for the colors. Explore what font will work with the brand. Like again, in the case of kindergarten brand, you can't use something like what you see over here. You can't use a very sharp looking font because it doesn't look that playful or directed towards a kid. Any kid brand directed towards kids, you will pick up and see they'll have maybe a handwritten font or maybe a font with a soft edges. I mean, so handwritten font, I wouldn't suggest for a website. I mean, it depends on how you use it. But in the earlier stages of your designing, it's better if you stay away from it, right? And other thing is try and explore new fonts with every project. What we tend to do is we look at whatever the fonts are trending, and these days it's Satoshi. So you'll see many designers using the same font. So the websites tend to look somewhat similar in terms of fonts. You feel like are font pehle bhi kidhar dekha hai, and it becomes very overused. So try. I mean, there are n number of fonts, especially free fonts. Yeah. So there's a lot to explore in terms of fonts. And first preference is look for free fonts. This is from a client's perspective. If your client, especially if your client is Indian, we've experienced that they don't like buying fonts. So if you can look for free fonts, again there are a lot of free Google fonts and very good ones at that. So you can opt for those. Then comes down to mood boarding. So you've got all those aspects, the colors, the fonts, everything in mind. So according to that, you've looked at references also. Now start putting them together. Like what is the look and feel that you're looking for in that website, or how you are visualizing that website. So gather stuff and put it together at one place so that you can look at it and uh, get your brain accustomed to this kind of design. And it's kind of an exercise for your brain also, because it kind of understands and that this is the way I'm going to create the design, the CTAs, the sections, etc. And once you have everything in hand, visualize before even picking up your mouse and keyboard. Just sit back and visualize for a minute or two, more than a minute or two, that this is how I will, create the section for this landing page. For example, if you have that UX ready in front of you, look at the UX, visualize how you will utilize this section, what element you will place, or how you would want the element to flow from top to bottom, how the animations will be. Visualize for a minute. This is all like a exercise for your brain and getting your brain warmed up, getting yourself warmed up for the UI that you're making. As I said, take a look at the wireframes, visualize how you're going to transform this into a piece of art. So how you're going to solve the problem of the end user. Yeah, this is a very important point. So how are you going to solve the problem via design? Now the UX will solve at least 70 to 80% of the problems of the users, but that last 30% or 20% can make or break the design if not done correctly. Because end of the day, people don't see that UX that was designed by the UX designer. The face of the website is the UI. If you don't use the right colors, you don't use the right design, the whole project fails. So think about how you'll solve the end user's problem as well. And with every design, I mean, don't what we tend to do is, okay, now this design kind of worked for this client, so let's use this formula only and create other designs. No, try to think what you can do differently in this design. If even if it's like a stock market app or stock market landing page, I mean, you get another brand of a stock market. Don't go ahead and make the same kind of use same kind of shadows, same kind of boxes, same kind of colors and color grading. Don't do that. Maybe if you use cards with shadows on one design, maybe create a line, a bordered box or something like that, just to give an example. But try something different with every design. The hero section. So I hope everyone knows what the hero section is. So the hero section is the most crucial part. Like in the case of Apple now. See, you look at this and you go, wow, I want to see now what more that these guys have done with the website, right? But if it is something really boring and not something attractive or something that doesn't really engage you, you will simply close the tab and probably go look at some other website. So if your hero section fails, your whole design fails because the user won't really scroll. Nobody really has the time these days to spend time and scroll through your website, even if your first section is not really that engaging. So when you design a hero section, another mistake that the designers do is they stick to one. They think, okay, this is a left में text रहेगा, right में element रहेगा, नीचे CTA रहेगा, हाँ ये अच्छा लगेगा. But that is a common approach everyone takes. Okay. और सेंटर में टेक्स्ट रहेगा, उसके नीचे एक CTA रहेगा, उसके नीचे एक हाफ एलिमेंट रहेगा. दैट इज अनदर अप्रोच. या तो राइट में टेक्स्ट रहेगा, लेफ्ट में एलिमेंट रहेगा. If you go to see, these are the few standard layouts that we have. But everyone does this, right? But why will someone, look at your website and not the other one? So how you make that layout more appealing is what is important. So you first of all, obviously try different kind of layouts in the header only. Use different menu styling. Maybe if you can, introduce icons, how on scroll the menu will react, or keep that all in mind, and how the text will be. Do I want a huge text over there? How the button styling would be? How do I make that CTA engaging? How I make it pop? And what do I do for the users to scroll further? the major role of the hero section is make the user scroll through the website, right? So you have to visualize from the home page or from the hero section how the whole website will proceed. I'll show you a few examples so that you get an idea later on once I'm done with this presentation. So yeah, also the other important thing is make sure you got all the data in. I mean, to get a very good design, minimal design, it doesn't mean that the things that the UX designer has closed with the client, तो maybe चलो यहाँ पे CT अच्छा नहीं लग रहा निकाल देते. No, it doesn't work that way. या ये header में 4 to 5 clicks है, हम लोग हटा देते हैं. We keep only 2 things. Doesn't work that way. You have to work around with whatever you have and make it look beautiful, right? Fresh look, very important. So once you've created a few sections in the website, what happens is we tend to fall in love with our design. Every UI designer falls in love with the design, and he can't really see what if any mistake or if he's missing out on anything. So make a few designs, and then take a break, take a stroll, do something else for a bit, take a break. दोस्तों से बात करो, घूम के आ जाओ ऑफिस में या जो भी है, wherever you are. Okay, come back again to the design, sit and then observe your design. That there are many times that I have done this, and even Harsh knows. I'll create a section or two, I'll just roam around and I come back, then I feel nahi yaar, ये design काम नहीं कर रहा. It was working when I was making it, but now I feel that it's not really working because you get that fresh look. Because when you're into a design, you keep doing it, and then you don't really, it becomes a little monotonous and you feel that it's working, but sometimes it doesn't. It's not necessarily always that is the case. Sometimes it looks, it nice, you get a positive effect also after that break, right? So this is very important. Yeah, once it is done, the whole design, check the design a few times, see if it is working for you, see if the CTAs are right, see if the contrasts are right. There are many plugins also these days to check the contrast of the website. There are many plugins on Figma, if I'm not wrong, you can have a look. So you can check the design that way. You can see if you don't have any silly grammatical mistakes, because it tends to piss off the client very much. If they see small mistakes, they'll leave the design, they'll look at the mistake first. Even if you made a very outstanding design, they'll say, "ये क्या किया?" There are many cases. So always second check your design. Check if any section. Sometimes on scroll, the sections you might come to a third or fourth section. You might feel that this section is somewhat now not looking all right to me. It is looking a little out of place, or it is hindering the experience of the website. Check if that's the case. If that's the case, you obviously think of an alternative. Check if any designs can be made better. Right? You can always do better. And lastly, obviously, show it to someone else who has not seen the design at all. So because end of the day, a layman is going to look at your website and he's going to decide whether it is good or not, or whether it's working or not. So show it. Obviously, try to show it. If you're working from home, show it. Maybe show it to your parents. Maybe you show it to a sister or somebody. बस ये देख ले यार कैसा लग रहा है तेरे को, समझ रहा है क्या वेबसाइट में क्या चल रहा है. Is it easy to scroll through it? Is it easy? Do you understand what this website is for? So just by looking at the website, users can maybe pick out mistakes that maybe we didn't realize. There are many cases that we have done this and we see that someone has completely missed the CTA, or someone has completely missed to hover a section that we thought that a user will hover over and will interact with that part. So you tend to uh, understand that if it's working or not, right? So this is the approach that I generally take to design. As I said, that it will differ. Maybe you will develop your own process as you go ahead in your design journey. But this is a basic approach that I take, and we also ask our other designers at UNI to work in this way. So just give me a moment. Uh, I will pull up a few examples of how Arsha and I work, like he's created the UX and how that has been translated to UI. In the meanwhile, if you all have any questions, you all can shoot that at me and I'll try to answer it.
No, Pratik. So no questions as of now, but we would really like to see. I mean, they would really like to see the transition from the UX to the UI.
Yeah, I'll try to pull up a few examples. I'll try to pull up some recent ones.
Sure.
Yeah.
So show them Moto World, show them Jago Investor, and also show them some corporate examples. That not every website needs animation. So
Yeah,
how the corporate website looks like.
sure. Just give me a second or two. I'll just pull those up.
Sure.
So one question I have, that
Yeah.
means when you go through this process, so when you means how you realize that means for creating the MVP of any product, now this is the best possible design, means which can go into the market. I know there could be some sections which can be optimized, but at least this initial for the initial version, this design is good. So how you make that decision?
So that will actually come with time, and to be honest, nobody really can judge that because the judge of that will obviously be the end user. Because we might feel that this will work with even with all our expertise, even with all that we have applied of our knowledge to the website. We create something, but in some cases it doesn't really translate as to what we. It's very similar to how these Bollywood guys make movies. They obviously make movies to make them hit, right? But it's not the case of every time. But there is a formula that we apply, like all these theories, all these concepts that we apply to a design, and we hope for the best. I mean, whatever is working, as I said, you look for whatever is working uh, in the current trend, and you keep yourself updated with the current trend. Look at designs, look at website like awards, look at what designers are doing, look at how they work. So as I said, this is one way of working. This is my way of working, but the other designer will have some other approach. He might have some other thought process. So the best design, you can't say that you can absolutely judge, but that will come with time. You can say, okay, this is working well, but the way you can obviously judge a best effective design, like that the CTAs are working, uh, your CTAs pop out well, your message is delivered well. Whenever all these check boxes are ticked, that means your website is effective. But how successful it is, it's completely in the hands of the end user. You can apply all your formula you want, but sometimes they tend to fail. But yeah, that's how you go about it.
Any
Because
other doubt?
even when we started out, we used to feel, "Arey, ye to best design bana hai." But then you see the harsh reality of what it is out there. So yeah, that comes only with experience, which is the case with any field actually.
So the another question is related to one of the theory which we use in colors, that 50, 30 or 20 rule, something like that. So
60, 30, 10.
Yes. So is the CTAs are always in the minor, means the minimal color which is used in the website?
Yeah, the accent, that is called the accent colors. So that is how we general. That is a general approach, but that is starting to change. But as I said, it's not necessary that you use only one color for the CTA. You can use two, but not more than two. So that it's a good practice to close in on those two colors in your initial stage of your design. Okay, so
And means
yeah.
can we using the solid colors and
Mhm.
using gradients? So is this brand requirement that, or how
Yeah,
we
yeah,
say that gradient can be used? Means
totally the brand requirement.
okay.
I'll show you a few examples. You'll understand this. A good question. I'll okay. Just a second. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a brand called Motorvolt. They make electric cycles. Putting up, I don't know if you all have heard of this brand, but so this is what they currently have. Right? A very standard e-commerce website uh, with not too much clear messaging. You can see both the CTAs are of same color. Doesn't really show you hierarchy of the CTA. And even the messaging on this is buy now and book now. Very hard to understand for the users. What is the difference? Right? So for that, this is what Harsh and his team had come up with for the UX, right? So they had closed down. They've discussed on certain sections of how they want to show their information and what they do, how they want to depict their products, and what the CTS would be on this, the feature section, right? Product range, etc., etc. The numbers, commute cost, etc. Right? So this is the wireframe that Ash and his team have created. Now I'll take you to the UI. So you can see that it had a title, and so we made use of the title over here, and we kept this whole animation on scroll. Obviously now Figma has limitations, so you will see it on click. You can see that the city over here is nice bright yellow, and your question was about the gradients, right? You can see the gradient that I use here. Now we wanted to give that feel of that electric premium product. So we used gradient in this case, and we created gradients from the brand colors itself, because we had that freedom from the client. In some cases, we don't really have clients are very adamant that we don't want to use gradients in our. We want to go ahead with our brand, pure brand colors, right? So that's how you decide on using a gradient or not. You scroll through, then you see this small animation where you see the product clearly. Scroll further, then the other section that you saw in the UX about the text. This will obviously be scrolling. You can see that we made use of the blue from the logo over here. Product section. Now they wanted to highlight two major products or the two new products. So here, this is how we used the brand color to highlight them. The feature section. You saw it as how static in the UX. When it is so interactive, the user would want to scroll through and look at more, right? Again, this is the range of bikes, and these are the buttons to scroll through. Then there comes a CTA section. Again, you can see the CTA is very prominent and against the light background, so that it pops out. So you can see numbers that so we made again on a darker background. We made use of that yellow color. So the yellow is basically like an highlighter throughout the website. And wherever possible, we may use the blue as well. So this is our commute section. So we didn't want to create a boring slider. So we tried something else. So this will slide. Obviously, when we developed, we'll be able to see this work.
Sorry.
Yeah. So it is important that you kind of learn these small animation techniques also when you present your design to the client, because the clients are getting very demanding as the day progresses, because there are so many tools available and they want to see कि अरे scroll होएगा तो कैसा दिखेगा ऐसा, and so it is good if you can learn a few animation techniques as well. Let's quickly take it through. So this is the whole website. So this is how we visualize. So when I was sitting with this website, I first visualized what is the main product, the cycle, right? And how do I depict it in the first fold itself, that how do I make it the hero? So you can see just a small text, CTA, and a little glimpse of the cycle. It's not the whole cycle. So the user will obviously be curious, I'll see the whole cycle for once at least. Then he sees this animation happen, then scrolls further, and then goes to the website. Right. Another website. Yeah. Now this is a brand that works for wealth creation. It's finance related brand. So this is the UX and the sections that were defined. So a lot of times, even the UX guys, I'm sure Harsh must have told you that they decide of how the flow would be. We are lucky enough to get those inputs also from the UX guys sometimes, that this is how they are envisioning the website to be. So I got a brief that there will be some element that flows down, and we talk about the investments, and there will be some brand element that walks through the website. So this is the UX part. Now I'll take you to the UI. So since we were talking about wealth generation, so we thought, what is one element that we can show that your wealth is safe with us, right? So the most common one being the safe, the vault. So we thought, why not use that as an element? You can see we use it. There we made use of the client logo to depict the benefits of working with Jaguar Investment. This will obviously be a area where you can type in your text and you get the results. So a lot of the animations also we tend to close in the design phase. That's what we try at Leo9. It makes the job of the developers also easier. Right? The final CTA section. So in terms of colors, so I show you what the client came with us. So before coming to this design, we tried a lot of things. You can see that there are many versions of this website that we tried working, and then we came up with the Volt design. So this is the color that the client came with, and then but in this case the client was open, like it's okay. I mean, if you don't want to use our colors, maybe you can use some of our colors and uh, use that to highlight, because when we were doing this we felt that it is not that high contrast and it is not really working with the white background. Then we went and moved ahead with, let's why not use that yellow very nicely, because it is a very high contrast color. So but it is not necessary that every website is this animation heavy. It's a requirement of the client. Like there's this website called Conquer that we are working on. It's a SEO related website that gives you, it's a platform for these SEO guys. So this is how we had designed the UX of Conquer. Right. And this is all we came up with the UI. So you can see in this case, the color of the the monogram over here, green, is the hero throughout the website. We've used it wherever we want to highlight certain things, like the search button, the join now CTA. You can see we've used that same color within the illustrations as well. Here again. So these images are actually from the client, so we couldn't do much about it. But you can see that here the important point over here is the amount that we have highlighted, and it makes you click. again in this section. You can see that the shade of the green has been used over here. And finally, the CTA section with the. So it is not necessary that we make the whole website in the green tone because the brand color is green. We can still keep it clean and make that one color pop out, so that even if someone looks at this section without the logo here, it understands that this is the website of Concord. Right? So this is generally how you should be using your colors. You should be using colors to direct the users to click certain elements or look at certain elements. That's about it from a reference point of view.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So thank you so much, Pratik. I mean, these guys are really overwhelmed with all the work that you have done, and I'm sure that in the next lecture I'll be having a separate 1 hour session only for the questions for this for sure. So really, I appreciate you spending time, you coming up with such a brilliant presentation for all of us, and these guys are really interested in UI UX, and I'm sure maybe in a couple of months you'll see a few of them at Leonine also, I
Hopefully.
suppose. So yeah, so again thanks a lot, and we really appreciate you being here. If possible, we'll uh, ask you or to be in one of the other session when we talk about micro interactions. So I would like
Definitely.
to join for that particular session specifically. So just a small background about Pratik once again, that he was into animation before he joined into UI UX and branding. So he has a good amount of knowledge and sense as to how things work when it comes to animation, right? So we can have that experience of his also, from his 10 years of experience and his animation experience also. So we would definitely like you to join once again for that particular session as well.
Yes, I would like to do that, because somewhere down the line I still like animation, so I would like to talk
Yes.
about it.
Super,
So yeah,
super.
thank you guys, for bearing with me for so long. So
Thank you. Thank you so
I'm
much, Pratik.
sorry if I didn't clear any doubts. I'll try to clear whenever I meet, if I meet you all in person, maybe at Leo 9.
Sure.
But yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pratik. Really appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks guys. Bye.
Bye bye.